Hello everyone and welcome back to the Virtual Motorsport Series. You join us for round number 7, the penultimate round of the BPTuning Contender Series Silver Split here in the deserts of Bahrain. I am joined this evening by Daniel, my co-commentator. Daniel, how are you doing? Oh, I think Daniel just cutting out slightly there. Sorry about that if you didn't get that through. Just a little bit crispy on the old microphone there. We're watching at the moment as practice draws to an end before we get into our normal 25-minute qualifying sessions. Anyone who knows how the qualifying works here, knows that we have a split qualifying session, 25 minutes long, but it's subdivided into two 10 minutes, or I guess technically just over 10-minute sessions. With the LMGT3s taking to the track first from 25 minutes until there is 15 minutes remaining on the clock. They have to have started a valid lap before that 15-minute timer kind of hits that 15 minutes remaining. Then the hypercars are allowed out into the pit lane to wait once there is 11 minutes left on the clock. They are then allowed to leave the pit lane when there's 10 minutes left on the clock, and they have until the end of the session to go for the overall fastest lap.
Apologies, I'm back again.
So here we go, just before we get into the LMGT3 qualifying, let's look at their current championship standings. It is Davide Canton leading the way, 102 points for him, ahead of the 777 of Marco Galetti. A win for Davide Canton here, dependent on the result of Marco Galetti, could see him take this championship with a round to go. Jean-Baptiste Thomas rounds out the top 3 in the number 82 Corvette, also on 82 points. That's quite satisfying, I hadn't realised that. In 4th is Eric Nunemacher on 77 points. Behind him, Christoph Rappel on 50, who's making a return to the track tonight after having missed a couple of rounds. Aidan Russell in the Mustang is in 6th on 46 points, with Eduardo Dorito in 7th on 38. Also on 38 is Johan Avora, who has had a bit of a comeback since the recent bop fixes for that Porsche. In the twin 82 Corvette is Robin de Poiron, who is on 34 points, and rounding out the top 10 at the moment is Mark Warmington on 30 points after a couple of decent results in a row for him. In 11th and just outside that top 10 is Frank van Ginniken on 29 points, just a point behind Thibaut Texera in the first of the two 46 BMWs. Craig Foreman on 18 points in 13th. Juan Viviers is on 14 points in 14th place, with Luciano Ichatso on 13 points just behind. Cole Bradbury is in 16th with 12 points, and Sandis Vasilevsky with just the 1 point is in 17th, and Lucas Lukes with no points yet on the board rounds out the 18 LMGT3s. Now let's get into their qualifying session, which is just about to start. And now that Daniel's back, Daniel, how are you doing this evening?
I'm great, thank you. I hope you all are fine too.
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. I'm very well. Your microphone did kick back in just towards the end there, so managed to pick up some at the end. And here we go. LMGT3's now rolling out into the pit lane to wait at the red light. As that red light goes green, we're on board with Jean-Baptiste Thomas as he slips and slides his way out of the pit lane there. The Bahrain International Circuit, of course, one that a lot of drivers find challenging, a relatively low grip surface around here. Out in the deserts, as I say, of Bahrain means that there's quite regularly sand and kind of other coarse particles being blown across the racing surface, which means that it is a relatively, like I say, low grip track, which can be difficult for these LMGT3s, who obviously rely on the mechanical grip quite a lot as they produce less downforce than, for example, the hypercars that we will see later on in the session. So as I say, we have got a potential championship deciding race ahead of us in the silver split in this LMGT3 class. there is a real chance that this man, Davide Canton, who we are looking at right now, could take this championship with 1 round left to go. Currently leads by, I think it's 18 points. If he can bring home a good result ahead of Marco Galetti, then there's a real chance that he could take home the championship ahead of time. We're going to have a look, I think, try and see what happened to Luciano Achazzo down at turn 10. Don't think we're going to get to. No, we're not. No, unfortunately. Tried to pick that up on the replay, but didn't quite get there. As the first laps are about to be started by the 82 TF Sport Corvette pairing of Jean-Baptiste Thomas and Robin de Poirot. Hello to everyone who is watching along, and thank you for being here with us this evening for the penultimate round of the BPTuning Contender Series Silver Split. BPtuning, of course, the setup shop run by Platinum Split driver Kieran Prendergast for all of your ACC and LMU setup needs. You can also get one-to-one coaching with the man himself, Kieran Prendergast, offering a brilliant coaching service over at bptuning.net. So if you're looking for any ACC or LMU setups, especially if you're looking to take part in, for example, the 6 Hours of Qatar special event tomorrow, make sure to head over to bptuning.net and check out all of the setups that Kieran Prendergast and his brilliant team provide for your usage. It's fastest in the first sector for Robin de Poirot, but we haven't had any other sector times come through as of yet, so that may not stay. Through the middle sector. The timing line for the middle sector is very late. It's quite a long middle sector and quite a short final sector comparatively. Of course, the Sector 2 timing line, Daniel, is just up here as we come through these sweeping corners, turn 11 and turn 12, up towards the braking zone for turn 13 is the timing line. There it is. And then it's really just the 2 corners to finish off the lap, but 2 corners that are really important for the lap.
With the long straights coming after both of these rather low speed corners, the exit is very important on both of these occasions. Also on the last corner as we're driving through it now, you can easily see the rear stepping out on this or invalidating on the left hand side of the track. So it's a really difficult corner or a couple of corners.
Yeah, absolutely. You are right. It is a couple of really difficult corners, and of course that final corner, as with all tracks, and I'm going to get told that I sound like Will Buxton here, but that not only makes or breaks the lap you're on, but it can make or break the lap that you're about to do as well. If you get it wrong out of that final corner, not only are you writing off a lap, the lap that you're currently doing, but it means that you're already down on your next lap on the run in towards turn 1. And obviously it's such a long straight here at Bahrain down this front straight. Getting a good exit out of that final corner is really, really vital, as Davide Canton proves why he's the man leading the championship. 3/10 the lead over the Corvette pairing of Jean-Baptiste Thomas and Robin de Poirot at the moment. Johan Evora about 8/10 off the pace. This isn't what we've seen from him in the last couple of Silver Split races. That Porsche BOP has come back to him and he's put in some decent performances. Do you reckon we're going to see him out towards the front? Oh, as Robin de Poirot has had a spin coming out of the hairpin. That is down at turn 8, this hairpin. Just on the power too soon. Bottomed out over the apex. Yeah, and then just too quick on the power. Oh, I thought he'd managed to keep it out of the wall, but it doesn't look like it, Daniel. And that could be his qualifying session over already, depending on how much damage that is.
Could surely be. What you were trying to say beforehand with Johan Evora, I think he has a great shot today with the momentum he kept. He like gained from the victory in Qatar, the pole in Qatar, and overall dominating the last race. So I think he maybe built himself a kind of a mindset and is more into the pack today, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Johan Evora is riding that crest, kind of riding that wave right now. and is wanting to make the best out of this kind of late season push that he's getting, which must feel really good for him, because obviously that Porsche was handed a let's say pretty heavy bop at the very start of the season. For those of you who are in and around LMU, you'll know that there are some tracks where the Porsche received upwards, I believe, of 100 kilograms of ballast added to the car, which is a lot. It's essentially like strapping another front end of a Porsche on top of the car, in terms of the amount of weight that is. So it was, yeah, relatively slow at the start of the season, but the most recent BOP updates have brought it back into the game again, and Johan Avora has proved that recently in the Silver Split. So we're coming down now, just 3 minutes to go. At the front, it's Eric Nonamaker who's found his way to the front now, ahead of Davide Canton by about 2.5 tenths of a second. And Eric Nonamaker, another driver who's been having a decent time of it recently in the Silver Split, trying to claw those points back as this season draws to a close. And Johan Avora is right there, 17 thousandths off of the best overall Sector 1 time. It's his personal best Sector 1 time. But we all know that the straight line speed is not where that Porsche makes its time. It's through the corners that Porsche is at its best. And Sector 2, well, to put it lightly, Daniel, has quite a lot of corners.
See, he's using every inch of the track. He's really pushing the limits to the hairpin and now braking into turn 11, the left-hander.
Yeah, it all looks very smooth and under control from Johan Avora. That apex at turn 10 was absolutely nailed on, absolutely perfect. Oh, slight twitch through the apex of 12. It doesn't matter, he's still 2.5 tenths up on the overall best middle sector time. As Jean-Baptiste Thomas has leapfrogged Davide Canton, he's up to second, 65 thousandths behind Eric Nonamaker. Still got time, I think possibly for another lap. No, I don't know if he does actually. I think that was Nonamaker's final lap. This is definitely Johan Avora's final lap. Out the final corner, it's just the run to the line. For Johan Avora, could this be pole position again here in Bahrain? Davide Canton goes fastest by 5 tenths of a second. Johan Avora, he's 3 tenths behind. Davide Canton, almost out of nowhere, takes pole position by 3 tenths of a second, which I personally was not expecting based on how the middle part of that qualifying session went, but he's absolutely nailed that, Daniel.
Yeah, he did. I did not expect it at all. Well, I expected him maybe to be on top, but not with a difference of 3 tenths. So that's quite an incredible lap he put together. As we see Luciano Ichazo go into the wall at the last corner, losing a rear wing.
Yeah, not quite what you want to finish a qualifying session there from Luciano Ichazo. That was a heavy, heavy impact on the exit of the final corner. And Jean-Baptiste Thomas, surely he didn't cross the line in time for this to be a valid lap. By my maths, he can't have done. He's 1 minute and 30 into the lap, and it's been 1 minute and 45 seconds since the 15 minutes were left on the clock, and I think he has backed out of it because he's way down. So I think he is just driving back round to the pit lane. Oh no, I've got my timings wrong completely, sorry. I was reading the clock like it was a 24-hour clock, not like it was a countdown clock. So now the qualifying session is over. That 15 minutes is now done. Davide Canton is still there or thereabouts. Doesn't look like he's improving at the moment. Cutting it fine with the white line on the exit there of turn number 13.
That's what the last sector brings.
Surely there can't be much more improvement in that lap time from Davide Canton. Although I feel like at the moment every time I say that he just goes faster. Yellow flag out on track, possibly just for someone stopped after the line. Indeed it is, and it's fastest for Davide Canton, but he already was. He hasn't actually improved. Still just over 3 tenths ahead of Johan Avora. Can Eric Nernemacher, that's Eduardo De Rito, sorry, he isn't going to have a lap here, and he's realised that is coming to a stop already, pulling over to return to the garage, and I think that's everyone. I don't know if we've got anyone on a valid lap at the moment. But that lap from Eduardo Dorito at the end there just snuck him into P6 ahead of Frank Van Ginniken. So everyone into the pit lane. And 2.5 minutes now until we see the hypercars come out on track for their pole position shootout. And let's have a quick look at how the hypercar standings are currently stacking up. At the top is Matteo Bassan, who has officially wrapped up this championship. He is so far in the lead, it's not even a question, and I don't even know if he's here tonight. His area of Italy at the moment having some internet cutouts. But I think he might have managed to get into the lobby. I'm not sure whether he'll stay in. He's going to try and do as much of the race as possible, but internet blackout might hit, or a power blackout might hit, which might force him out early. Nicholas Ulrich is in second on 90 points with Andrea Previato on 81, hounding him in third. Mathieu Bouquet is on 58 points, just behind him the Ferrari pairing of Rasmus Andreasen and Philip Schlichting, both on 52 points. Stanislas Pajot in the first of the number 7 Toyotas, although the white liveried one is on 37 points, with Mohamed Colombo just behind in 8th on 35. Robin Deschamps is 9th on 33 points, with Giacomo Tessera rounding out the top 10 on 31 points. Just outside the top 10 is Paolo Ortu. He's on 25 points ahead of Mattia Previato, who is on 24. Chris Stoltz has 20 points since 13th, and then into the single digits for Filippo Cogolo on 3 points, Aurelian Pellicore on 2 points, and both Stefan Kerler and Michel Balian are yet to take home a point from this season of the Silver Split. But here we go, just 50 seconds now, counting down. And you've got to say, Daniel, it has been an absolutely dominant season for Matteo Bassan. There has not been a race that he hasn't won, I don't believe, in Hypercar. He has dominated every single race so far, even the last race, which I didn't think was going to come off his way, and yet he managed to again just absolutely dominate, take home a massive win, a massive lead, as he has done in every round so far, and definitely a driver who you would say should probably be competing in amongst the gold split, even possibly at the bottom end of the plat split, rather than here in the silver.
For sure, a dominant season and dominant performance he's been delivering all season round. He's been the benchmark for everyone in the hypercar grid. So yeah, he deserved this championship. Yeah, it's just amazing to see how he's driving his car and is consistent every occasion.
That is a very good point from Mohamed Colombo in chat. Bassan didn't win round 1, of course, because Nicholas Ulrich was the winner of the first round in Sebring over the bumps in Florida. Florida? It is Florida. I'm pretty sure it's Florida.
Yeah, surely.
I'm sure Charlie will come in and correct me, the font of GeoGuessr track knowledge. So he'll let me know if I'm correct or incorrect on the Florida shout. As we count down the final 15 seconds until this hypercar pre-qualifying. I should keep on saying pre-qualifying. I've got pre-qualifying on the brain. I do apologise. We've been talking a lot about the pre-qualifying for Season 3 in the last couple of days amongst the admin team. And here we go. There goes the 10 minutes left on the clock, and the hypercars roar out into the pit lane for their 10 minutes of qualifying. I believe, is it only Ferraris and Toyotas we've got here this evening? Which are, at the moment, kind of the word is that they're two of the stronger cars, not necessarily the strongest. In fact, under the most recent BOP, the Isotta Fraschini has made a surprise return to the front end of these hypercar grids. The Tipo 6 is now a very, very quick car if you can get it to work, and is very, very good on its tyres. Similar, in fact, to the Peugeot, as that's a big old slide through the apex of turn 8 for one of our Toyota drivers. I'm not quite sure who. It's the number 8, so it's got to be, yes, Nicholas Ulrich. I just couldn't see that side number panel to work out which of the drivers it was. When it came past us with the number panel facing us, it was quite handily in the shadow of the car, so I couldn't see it at all. But Nicholas Ulrich with a big old slide on the rear end, coming through the apex of turn 8, will help with his tyres, probably. Whoa! Please say that was Mohamed Colombo. Was that Mohamed Colombo? It was Mohamed Colombo! Mohamed Colombo has spun through the apex of turn 11. Not even through the apex, on the exit. What? How has he done that?
That's the sneaky net bag.
Yeah, very, very nasty. Tank slapper, as they're called. And it looks like that's steering damage for that Toyota, and may well be Mohamed Colombo out of this session already, with only 2 minutes of it having passed. They've only just completed their outlaps. That is unfortunate for Mo, as he looks to continue his run of decent performances in the silver split as well. Lots of points picked up recently for Mohamed Colombo. And that is not going to help Daniel. Of course, qualifying not the most important part, but in a sprint race with less time to make those overtakes, it can be important.
Important just to keep out of the trouble that is caused by the rather back end of the grid. It's always good to be out in front, so you also build kind of a confidence going to the race. So yeah, I qualified quite good, so the race pace should be there somewhere too. So you build this, that confidence going into the race.
Yeah, that is absolutely the other thing. If you've gone out in qualifying and the first thing you've done is thrown your car in the wall, doesn't exactly give you the most confidence in the car once the race gets started either, does it?
No, not at all. But that's also a chance to fight back from these kind of mistakes or misfortune that happens.
Yeah, indeed. And some of the best drives in motorsport history have come off the back of kind of similar mistakes to that. I mean, look at I'm going to go delving into the F1 world. I do apologise. Look at Lewis Hamilton in Bahrain in 2020, or was it 2021?
2021. 2020 was he stood out.
Yeah, an incredible comeback drive in Brazil in 2021, and then obviously we had also Max Verstappen, for example, at last year's Spa Grand Prix, where he came from 14th on the grid, in admittedly a Red Bull that might as well have been a Saturn V rocket ship, but no less incredible anyway. It's being soundboarded. Oh no.
I think it wasn't last year, but I know what you're getting on.
Was it 23?
It was. I guess it was 23 because
it's
last
got to be
year
one
was
of the years that he was dominant.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Last year was the Russell and Hamilton.
Oh, the disqualification fest.
Yeah.
Yes, of course it was.
Yeah, it was
Gosh,
last year Brazil.
There's been so many good races recently in recent years of F1. I'm getting them all muddled up. I do apologise. So here we go. First laps are on the board, and to the surprise of quite literally no one, Matteo Bassan is currently leading the way. 2.5 tenths ahead of one of the Previatos, I'm not sure which, and the other Previato in third, which is going to be really handy if they're both directly next to each other the whole race, because I can't see their first names on the standings. So it will be a little bit of a guessing game. I think I heard our broadcast director say that it's Andrea who's in third, and Matteo. Andrea in second, and Matteo currently in third. Matteo's Bassan. Sorry. Could you tell I've had a long day? So here we go. Andrea Previato. 2 personal best sectors.
By 2,000, which is equalized by Bassan once again.
Yes, putting it on pole position for as long as it takes Matteo Bassan to finish his next lap it's kind of been a continuing pattern in the silver split. Matteo Bassan kind of just does better than whatever the fastest person currently has done. Mohamed Colombo's managed to get back out on track, so he's managed to get that car fixed. A quick turnaround, and he's now starting a lap here, so he's already done a full out lap. So he's managed to get it back to the garage, enter the garage area itself, get that car up on the jacks, get it fixed, and he's back out on track to try and set a lap time here. Though notably, there's quite a few drivers who are yet to set a lap. Obviously, Mohamed Colombo being one of them, but also we haven't had a lap from Stanislas Pajot in the white number 7 Toyota. Right as I say that, Stanislas Pajot crosses the line. It's 1.5 seconds down, but it's a lap time. Mohamed Colombo through the first sector, also about half a second down. But we haven't had a lap from Paolo Ortu, although I have seen him out on track. Haven't had a lap time from Robin Deschamps either. Apparently, Paolo Ortu is struggling with the off tracks at the moment.
Yeah, that's the thing. We need to focus on the race too. The off tracks. Getting there into, what was it, turn 12 on the exit? I think it was turn 12. It's like always tricky to not get like 25 or a 0.25 or 0.50 points there every time you go off track.
Yeah, indeed.
Okay.
With the obviously the lower track limits tolerance for the
so.
sprint series as well, because the sprint series here only get you get 3 track limits points for the race. In the endurance races, you get 5. So these drivers are going to have to watch out. Obviously, only the shorter 40-minute sprint races that we get here in the Contender Series. So it's slightly less of an issue. But you've got to watch out, because if you pick up, yeah, all it takes is to pick up a couple of big kind of 0.5, 0.75s, and suddenly you've got very little to play with. As Nicholas Ulrich has managed to close that gap, he's put himself in between Prabiato and Bassan, just 0.122 of a second off of that pole position lap for Matteo Bassan at the moment, proving that that Toyota is back in a competitive space again. As Paolo Ortu has managed to get through the first sector without any track limits issues. He's 0.3 off the pace. Now through sector 2, up through turn 12. It is half a second down in the middle sector. That's not ideal either. Sorry, my stream was somehow behind on Discord there. I just had to close it and reopen it. But to the line.
Line for a 64.4. 46.4. My bad.
Yeah, 1.3 seconds off the pace for Paolo Ortu, and that looks like him done. Locks the tyres up and is going to RTG. That's the end of his session. Robin Deschamps is here to set a lap. And it is 5th fastest for Robin Deschamps. That wasn't an improvement, actually. That was him attempting to improve, but clearly had an issue in the middle sector, so is setting up for one final lap. Mohamed Colombo is improving, though. Personal best sectors in Sector 1 and Sector 2. 0.8 off at the moment. This could be good enough for 6th for Mohamed Colombo. And indeed it is. 1.2 seconds off the pace. So final laps now for everyone out on track. As that was Stanislas Pajot jumping Paolo Ortu. Massive snap for Mohamed Colombo under the brakes into turn 8. And that's his lap over. And is that it? Have we got anyone else out on a valid lap? I don't know if we do. I'm hearing from broadcast direction that we don't. So that is it. That is the field for round number 7. And let's have a look at how they're all going to line up. Here we go. So on pole it is Matteo Bassan ahead of Nicholas Ulrich. taking out the first row there for the penultimate round of the season. Behind them are the Previato brothers, Andrea in third and Mattia in fourth. It's then Robin Deschamps ahead of Mohamed Colombo in fifth and sixth, respectively. Then we've got Stanislas Pajot in the twin number 7 Toyota ahead of Paolo Ortu in 7th and 8th. On pole and potentially winning the championship this evening is Davide Canton in LMGT3 ahead of Jan Evora in 2nd. Eric Nonamaker is 3rd ahead of Jean-Baptiste Thomas in the first of the two 82 Corvettes. In fact, is Robin de Praron right behind in 5th. And Eduardo Dorito, of course, there. Then Frank Van Ginneken and Craig Foreman. And rounding out the grid in LMGT3 is Luciano Echazzo. And here we go. Just waiting now for everyone to grid up. By my maths, with Marco Galetti not here, and with Davide Canton currently leading the championship. Oh, he actually, I tell a lie. He might not be able to get it done tonight. Have I done my maths wrong?
And drivers go to the grid for a race start.
No, he won't.
He's currently on 102 points. Marco Galetti's on 84 points. That's a difference of 18.
He's Thomas on 82. So.
How many is Marco on, sorry?
Marco's on 84 and Jean-Baptiste Thomas on 82.
Okay, so if Davide Canton wins, Marco Galetti isn't here, so that gap opens to 43 points. He needs it to be at least 37. 37 is the number that matters. So if he wins and Jean-Baptiste Thomas only finishes... So I think he can make it happen. Oh, I'm gonna have to do the maths later on because I'm gonna get distracted from actually commentating on the racing. But I believe there is a way he can do it.
We'll get into this later.
Yeah, we'll get into it later. Maybe after the race is finished, I'll do the maths and provisionally work it out. And here we go into the final 10 seconds before we get rolling.
Formation lap has started.
And here we go, down off of the air jacks and rolling for the penultimate round under the lights here in Bahrain. I've got to say, I do love how this game looks in these nighttime settings.
Yeah, absolutely.
Looks absolutely beautiful. Matteo Bassan leading the way in Hypercar, Davide Canton leading the way in LMGT3 with 40 minutes of sprint racing action about to begin. I can't remember how long the hold here is at Bahrain. I think it's this first start-finish line when we get released. I hope it is anyway, and indeed it is. There's the green light, and it is a good start from Matteo Bassan. Nicholas Ulrich immediately tucking in to the slipstream ahead of Andrea Previato. And they all fan out into the braking zone for turn 1. Matteo Bassan all the way to the inside, trying to keep hold of his position. Around the outside goes Andrea Previato, trying to get ahead of Nicholas Ulrich. There's a little bit of argy-bargy. I think Nicholas Ulrich is going to come out ahead, but Andrea Previato might have the better acceleration up the hill. No, it is Nicholas Ulrich who has managed to keep his car ahead of that of Andrea Previato. Paolo Ortu all the way to the inside on one of the number 51 Ferraris. I'm not sure who that is. I think it's got to be Mattia Previato, hasn't it? Indeed it is, and Paolo Ortu getting that position without too much difficulty at all. Mohamed Colombo gaining a position through that as well. I believe that'll be the position he's taken off of Mattia Previato, who has not had a brilliant start in LMGT3.
Evora has lost a couple of places.
Yeah, Evora's lost a lot of places, in fact. Evora's out. Evora's in the pit lane. So Evora, it seems, already out of this race. The man who qualified so well in this one, qualified P2, just behind Davide Canton, is out. And at the front, Nicholas Ulrich getting past Matteo Bassan under the brakes into turn 11. But Matteo Bassan, wise to it, cut back under him on the exit. And under better acceleration, and managed to maintain his P1. As we look at Craig Foreman chasing Frank van Ginneken. This is something we've seen before, of course.
See Robin Deschamps on the main straight, just edging and looking down the inside of Andrea Previato. Can he make the move stick? I think he can for now, yes. But
difficulty is
the better exit, better acceleration through turn 3 as you're going to turn 4. And oh yeah, those.
Yeah, Andrea Previato noticeably better on the brakes, but Robin Deschamps able to roll the speed through the apex and keep his car alongside. Whoa. Almost contact there again, almost contact coming to the exit of the chicanes there, and now he's got to watch out, Robin Deschamps, for Mohamed Colombo, who's trying to go all the way around the outside through the hairpin of turn number 8. That now gives him the inside for turns number 9 and 10, and that is going to be move done for Mohamed Colombo. Although Robin Deschamps goes back up the inside into the apex of turn 10, Fernando Alonso-esque, and Paolo Ortu is going to get past Mohamed Colombo as well, who is dropped back down into his original starting position of 6th in that little kerfuffle in the apex of turn 10. And the fight at the front is still very close. Nicholas Ulrich just 4/10 behind Matteo Bassan, and there's a yellow flag out there somewhere. Cleared pretty quickly. I think it's probably for, is it for Luciano Acciazzo? Indeed it is. Coming through the 5, 6, 7 chicane, and the rear end of that car's just gone around. Big spin for Luciano Acciazzo. And he's already, I think, quite a distance off the back of the field. And has now retired. There's Mattia Previato getting, fighting with, in fact, Stanislas Pajot. Those two have traded position a couple of times, I believe. As we now look at Robin de Praron arguing with Eric Nanamaker over that 3rd place, that final podium place. Side by side, almost through the exit of turn 3. In fact, Eric Nanamaker managed to get his nose alongside, but I think he went over the white line on the inside and had to lift a little to avoid any track limits penalisation. Looks to the inside, switches back to the outside, through the apex of turn 4, along almost hairpin. Oh, Craig Foreman goes round. It's only a half spin, manages to get it back on track relatively quickly. But that is going to have lost him a handful of time. In fact, he's now almost 5 seconds behind Frank van Ginneken, who he was fighting with just before that spin. Unfortunate for him. as we look back at Robin de Praron still defending from Eric Nonemacher. Corvette versus Ferrari. Both drivers who have seen some good success here in the silver split, but have also had their share of hard times. As we look now at the leader of Hypercar, Matteo Bassan, who Nicholas Ulrich is kind of still there with him, but that gap is slowly opening, don't you think, Daniel?
It's an incredible job by Ulrich to like keep up with Bassan, who was like, we saw it in qualifying, has a tremendous pace, but somehow in the race pace he has not that advantage as he got in qualifying. So it's quite remarkable to see this how this battle will fall out during the race.
Yeah, 40 minutes of racing still to come. But I think if Matteo Bassan can get that gap over a second,
yeah, that's over good.
Then surely it's over.
Yeah.
Sorry, 33 minutes of racing left. I hadn't realised we'd already gone through so much time. I thought we were still close to the 40-minute mark. It's been an action-packed first couple of laps. Stanislas Pajot is still all over the back of Mattia Previato. Oh, and that must have been contact. Surely contact between Robin Deschamps and Paolo Ortu. Oh, there has been. Is it on the exit? Oh, contact all round. And then a spin for Paolo Ortu. That was on his own, just out in the dirty runoff off the track there. Both cars off track after the apex of turn 10. I think Paolo Ortu possibly with a slightly ambitious dive back up the inside towards the apex of turn 10. And he's now running last on track in that hypercar field. And he's not going to be best pleased by that, but that promotes Robin Deschamps, who managed to stay ahead of Mohamed Colombo, but it promotes Mohamed Colombo up into 5th again, where he was just after the start of this race. Although he's got to watch out because he's going to have Mattia Previato all over the back of him. In fact, as I say it, we cut to the battle, and up the inside from Mattia Previato, Mohamed Colombo is going to look for this double switchback effect that you get, which then gives you the run up the hill coming out of turn 3, but he's not quite got it right, I don't think. Although surely Mattia Previato will have to lift there to avoid a track limits penalisation. Whoa! Big moves in defence from Mattia Previato. And now Mohamed Colombo having to watch out for Stanislas Pajot. Oh, a little bit of argy-bargy between the two of them there, the two Toyotas. Both Toyota number 7s, really not happy with each other. Mohamed Colombo looks for a switchback through the exit of the chicane. He's got it, but he's going to need to try and hold this position around the outside of the hairpin. More contact between the two Toyota number 7s. And that looked like it might have been right on that front right corner for Mohamed Colombo. Possibly some suspension damage picked up from that. I won't speak to whether he has, because obviously we can't see what his inputs are. But that kind of contact right onto the tyre, right onto the kind of the steering arm, is known to cause issues. Still
keeping up with Bassan.
Yeah, exactly what I was about to say. Still, Nicholas Ulrich is in that area where he's just sticking with him. He's just matching the laps. It feels almost from Nicholas Ulrich like there's more in the tank, but that he doesn't want to give it away just yet. I think he's quite happy to sit in the slipstream here from Matteo Bassan and just stay with him, which he's doing very effectively. That gap has been 7/10 for the last few laps. But he is, it looks like he's having to work to stay in it though. Through turn 1 and 2 that time, it opened up 9/10. And a late move from Stanislas Pajot is going to open himself up to a counter defense from Mohamed Colombo, who ends up off track. Whoa! Massive snap of oversteer on the exit. Mohamed Colombo losing that position down to 7th now. He was running 5th just 2 laps ago. And a brilliant battle from these two.
But that speaks for the like how close packed this field really is. Like from P3 to maybe not P3, but from P5 to P7, it's always like the positions are switching back and forth. So it's really enjoyable to see how they are battling it out on track.
Yeah, absolutely. As Mohamed Colombo's got back ahead, we missed that whilst looking at the replay, I think. Did we get it? Clearly I wasn't focusing then, I do apologise. I'm assuming it was through the 6-7 chicane and then into 8, right? Because that is yeah, that has appeared to be Mohamed Colombo's preferred overtaking spot so far into that turn 8 hairpin. He seems to be very, very good on the brakes compared to a lot of the rest of the field. So he's back up into 6th, back ahead of Stanislas Pajot, and all of this battling, it's very quickly bringing Paolo Ortu back to this pair, which I'm sure Paolo will be very happy about considering how much time he lost with that spin after the contact with Robin Deschamps down at the turn 10 hairpin just a couple of laps ago. But Paolo Ortu now closing in on the back of this battle, possibly about to make it a 3-way fight for this 6th place. As I tell you what, I'm just looking at the LMGT3 times here. Robin de Praron has reined Jean-Baptiste Thomas back in here. That gap between Jean-Baptiste Thomas and Robin de Praron is now the same, if not slightly smaller, as the gap from de Praron back to Nonamaker. And this is now not only a fight for P3 on track, but in fact is a fight for 2nd and 3rd. With the two number 82 TF Sport Corvettes leading the way. And that number 66 JMW Motorsport Ferrari just behind. And there we go. That is Paolo Ortu right on the back of that battle now. Like I was saying, if those two continued to fight, it was going to continue to cause issues, and I was absolutely bang on.
Yeah. Oh, that's a late lunge.
Yeah, I was about to say that is a lunge and a half from Stanislas Pajot. He loses the position in the end to Paolo Ortu. And I think that's just a bit of frustration, surely, from Stanislas Pajot. He's had enough of being behind Mohamed. Yeah, potentially was looking at the... Oh, yes, I'm going to say he probably was. I think he was thinking more about Paolo Ortu attacking him than keeping it on the track and not hitting Mohamed Colombo. And Mohamed, I expect, quite happy that he managed to avoid Stanislas Pajot on that occasion, because he was doing a good 30 or 40 kilometers an hour too quick into the apex there. And crucially, Matteo Bassan has his gap. That gap is now over a second for the first time this race, 1.3 seconds. As we look at Paolo Ortu making a massive dive down the inside of turn 1, he's got that all wrong. He's going to lose position to Mohamed Colombo. He's got to watch out that he doesn't get done also by Stanislas Pajot. He manages to cut Stanislas Pajot off on the exit there, which Pajot clearly not happy about. As I've referenced in multiple streams, the flashing of the headlights, the universal racing driver signal that whatever the person in front of you has just done, you didn't enjoy. As we look at it again on board from Stanislas Pajot, and I mean, I've got to say, Paolo Ortu hasn't done anything wrong there. He's taken his line. Stanislas Pajot is not alongside. Now he is alongside, but again, it's a late move to the inside from Stanislas Pajot, and there's the flash of the lights right back from Paolo Ortu. And I've got to say, of the two occasions, Paolo Ortu has far more right to be aggravated than Stanislas Pajot did. As this is now turning into a nasty fight, and Paolo Ortu almost goes around again. Lots of contact between these two. This is going to be filling the steward's room after this race, I'd expect, Daniel.
Experience here watching all of this. The dive from Ortu was quite a right thing, but he just lost it on the... Oh yeah, he lost it on the and kind of spinned in his car into the way of...
Oh
my god.
Is that Johan Avora?
Yeah. I think he was driving after lap 1. He was already on track, I think.
Oh, did he maybe have like a disconnection issue or something there?
Maybe, or he had
rather
like,
than
maybe
returning to the garage.
Yeah, surely must be.
Oh, he wasn't on the grid, so he missed the start of the grid.
Oh.
That is unfortunate. That is really unfortunate for Johan Avora. Now a lap down. on Craig Foreman. Still in 8th ahead of Luciano Chasso, who is, I believe, properly retired. He returned to garage. But a lot of fighting still up and down the grid as Nicholas Ulrich, Matteo Bassan held up by the race leading Davide Canton, I believe that is, that they've just lapped. So that is going
window right on the rear diffuser of the 499P.
Yeah, he's right there. And Matteo Bassan, I'm sure, not happy that he's lost that time. Because, as we know, hypercars do not take it best as... Oh, hello, Stanislas Pajot is back behind Paolo Ortu. We didn't see the overtake. I'm going to assume that it wasn't necessarily 100% without contact, because I don't think any of their overtakes have been. Paolo Ortu off track. Is he going to return? Ooh, that's questionable from Paolo Ortu. And I'm going to assume that he has some damage he's carrying now on that Ferrari, because it is not normal to see the cars get so twitchy like that over the turn 12. Oh, and these two are going to have a real crash here soon. These two have really got to watch out. They're just too angry with each other. Both of them need to stop. They're now sacrificing other people's races, as well. Eduardo Dorito there we see being, I've got to say, bullied by Paolo Ortu off the apex of the final corner there. And these two both need to take a breather. Because if they don't, then it's going to be both of them that end up out of the race.
Take every straight, every corner. It's really incredible.
It is just constant, isn't it? In fact, we can see some of the damage on those cars as they're coming down the straight towards turn 4 there.
Michael switchback though.
And they're both flashing their lights at each other. Yeah, this is not the driving that we want to see on display in any series here in VMS, as we cut away to Nicholas Ulrich, just as I'm pretty confident there was about to be another crash between the two of them.
Looks like it, yeah.
We now look at Robin de Praron, who through that lapping phase has managed to, there they are in the background, has managed to get ahead and properly get a gap to Eric Nernemacher. Down in 4th, that gap now about 2.5 seconds, and he's still chasing. He is still chasing his teammate. I say teammate, they're driving in the same car, they're not actually teammates. He's chasing Jean-Baptiste Thomas in the twin number 82 TF Sport Corvette. And I've got to say, the fact that these two haven't been lapped by those hypercars yet would suggest to me that there was a little bit more argy-bargy between them, because they were right behind those Corvettes into turn 11 and didn't lap them until after turn 13. So I don't think we've seen the last of what's going on between these two. And like I say, there is a real chance that this is going to be filling the steward's room later on. And de Praron continues to close the gap. 4/10 now. The gap from Robin de Praron to Jean-Baptiste Thomas. And it looks like at the moment, de Praron definitely has the pace advantage, Daniel.
He's doing an incredible job to keeping, to pull away from Nernemacher, and now right on the rear diffuser of Jean-Baptiste Thomas. So I think we may be getting a proper battle between the Corvettes in this penultimate round of the BPTuning Silver Contender Series. Sorry, I was stuttering like crazy.
No, it's all good, it's all good. And in fact, we've got a battle potentially brewing in Hypercar as well, hopefully one that'll be cleaner than the one we've seen already. But it is between Mattia Previato and Robin Deschamps, who I think has just made a mistake in turn 11, because that gap just came down by about 0.4 of a second through one corner there. I don't think we're going to catch it on the replay, unfortunately. No, we're going to go back to the live action. And that gap is just 0.4 of a second between these two at the moment, as Mattia Previato looks to gain back those positions he lost at the start. Obviously qualifying directly behind his brother, Andrea Previato, at the start of this race, but dropped down at the start, all the way to the back of the order, in fact. At one point, he was the last hypercar on track behind Stanislas Pajot, but has managed to cut his way back through the field as we just crossed the halfway mark. So with 20 minutes left to go, he should be able to find his way past Robin Deschamps, who he has been faster than all race. But I expect that'll be it. I don't know if he's going to be able to close down that 8-second gap to his brother out front, especially not if he keeps on missing apexes like that. A little bit deep there at turn 4 for Mattia, and he gives up all of that advantage he just gained on Robin Deschamps. That gap back open to about 0.8 of a second now. Not ideal at all.
Craig Foreman has like recovered his half spin he got into turn 4 and is now again into like 1 second behind Ginnigan.
Yeah, decent recovery drive coming here from Craig Foreman. He was at one point about 5 seconds behind Frank van Ginniken after the half spin that Daniel just referenced. And that gap now, like you say, down towards that 1 second kind of margin. It's not necessarily there yet, but he's there or thereabouts is Craig Foreman, and maybe there's another position in this race for him. I'm sure he would like for that to be. And another driver who thinks there's another position in here for him is Robin de Poirot. He is all over the tail end of Jean-Baptiste Thomas right now, hounding, trying to work out where he is stronger than the other Corvette, which will obviously be difficult because it's the same car. So generally, they will have the same strengths and weaknesses, but that's when it comes down to the driver and where they're extracting the lap time. Robin de Poirot closing in that gap. You see slightly differing lines as Robin de Poirot tries to keep as much clean air coming over the front of that Corvette as possible. And this is for second and third. There's no one else near them. Eric Nunemacher has really dropped off the back of this battle. That gap now 5 seconds, in fact, back to Eric Nunemacher. That gap has just continued to grow in the last couple of laps since he lost that second kind of slipstream that you get. There he is, just in the background of the shot. Quite a long way back, and under the braking, de Poirot closes up massively. Surely, looking at how much he's closed up under the braking there, surely turn 1 is his best opportunity, Daniel.
Yeah, it's gotta be. It's like it's the best opportunity you got all around the whole circuit here, and we see it like in every braking zone. He's gaining crazy on Thomas. So I think it's the best card he can play on, possibly to like get a good exit out of turn 15 and 14. 14 and 15 respectively, and then just maybe he gets it done into turn 8 already.
Yeah, looks like possibly move done, but not quite. Jean-Baptiste Thomas managing to just keep his nose ahead. Although up the inside, possibly into turn 10 for Robin de Poirot, and there's contact at the apex between the two Corvettes. Please, lads, please keep it sensible.
What I was trying to say before, yeah, he got to play the card for turn 1, like get a good exit, catch a slipstream of Thomas, and then just try to overtake him on the inside. I think that's the best card he can play on right now.
Yeah, for sure. We see that he is pretty much gaining into every major braking zone, and in fact, this time is the closest he's been. It's 2/10 into the braking zone. Last time he gained 3/10 into the braking zone. So could it be this time for Robin de Poirot?
No.
No, looks like Jean-Baptiste Thomas has worked out how much later he can brake as well. Making that turn 1 apex almost at the same time. with Jean-Baptiste Thomas, and Robin Duprat on the chase now continues up the hill towards the wide, almost hairpin of turn 4. A difficult corner. Robin Duprat goes up the inside. It was a defensive move from Jean-Baptiste Thomas, but not enough to dissuade Robin Duprat. Although that gap does open up a little bit as Robin Duprat had his nose slightly cut off in towards the apex there, it has to be said.
Oh, and Priviati got past Duchamp in the meantime. Oh.
Oh. Almost. No, in fact that is, sorry, Mattia Priviati getting past Robin Duchamp. Yeah, sorry, I missed that. Nice pickup, Daniel. I was still reading them the other way round. Do apologise. But that is a move done for Mattia Priviati. He's now 9 seconds behind his brother, and I don't think there's anything more in this race for him.
He has 9 seconds to gain on his brother in 40 minutes. I think that's a bit too tight to get.
Yeah, for sure. Probably not enough time left in the race for that to come together, but there could still be a battle here between Mattia and Robin Duchamp, although that gap, it's got to be said, is opening quite quickly. As we look now at Craig Foreman, who is now so firmly within that second gap to Frank van Ginneken, getting out of the way of, I'm going to assume, that is Priviati. Yeah, Andrea Priviati, yes indeed it is. And now we're looking at Mohamed Colombo and Paolo Ortu. Paolo Ortu's managed to break away from Stanislas Pajot after all of their fighting, and is now going to try and get that wounded Ferrari up ahead of Mohamed Colombo for P6 and gaining some more vital points. Unless there's going to be a move here for Paolo Ortu into turn 1. Under the brakes, it has been a favoured overtaking spot, but Mohamed Colombo has also shown himself to be the master of getting a switchback. As Paolo Ortu there, flashing the lights, and this is another use of the lights, one that I've not talked about before, as a distraction technique, which isn't forbidden. It's not that it's not allowed. It tends to be a little bit more of kind of like a gentleman's kind of oh, what's the word for it? An unspoken rule. That's the one I was looking for. As Paolo Ortu maybe does get past Mohamed Colombo now up into turn 4. But yeah, just a flash of the lights into the hairpin for the braking zone into turn 1. Just enough to put off Mohamed Colombo, who's now going to try his favoured turn 8 move. What a dive back to the inside from Mohamed Colombo. There's contact through the middle of the apex, but he is ahead of Paolo Ortu, and Paolo Ortu yet again is not happy about it. And I've got to say, Mo, Paolo Ortu is probably not a man I wouldn't want to be happy at me at this stage of the race, based on what's happened before. I would maybe take your life and, and stay in 7th, if I'm being entirely honest. Although it looks like, I think Paolo Ortu now firmly ahead, and will probably stay ahead and pull away. As Robin Duprat has got past Jean-Baptiste Thomas, we've missed that. That gap's a second and a half. Was there potentially some contact there, do we think, maybe, Daniel, to get a gap that big?
I think one lap I didn't monitor the gap, and it's instantly like extended. Oh yeah.
So it was a turn 8 move, I'm hearing from our broadcast director, between Duprat and Jean-Baptiste Thomas. So I'm assuming then that that gap that they've now got is just purely from time loss to traffic. I'm not quite sure. We're looking here at a replay of Mohamed Colombo spinning off the track at the final corner. He rejoins, I believe he's still ahead of Stanislas Pajot. Indeed he is, but only just. Flashing Johan Avora to let him know he's coming past, but Stanislas Pajot has the run to the inside. Contact between the two under braking, unnecessary from Stanislas Pajot there. Mohamed Colombo is allowed to hold the line that he likes on the outside. Mohamed Colombo now is going to be on not only hot, but also flat spotted tyres, which is unideal. Surely he's not going to go for his turn 8 move. He does, and he hits Stanislav Pajot. Oh, Mo. Oh, Mo. Mo, that's bad. That is very, very clumsy racing from Mohamed Colombo. And somehow out of nowhere, of all the cars that I thought were going to cause a collision in this race, somehow it's Mohamed Colombo that ends up spinning Stanislav Pajot off the road, and not Paolo Ortu. As Craig Foreman, in a slightly more positive note, gets himself ahead of Frank van Ginneken, the man that he's been chasing for a, good 25-30 minutes now, pretty much, since the start of the race. Like we said, lost out that 5.5 seconds earlier on, where it all seemed to go wrong with a half spin on the exit of turn 4, but is now back in the hunt and back ahead of Frank van Ginneken. Brilliant, brilliant move from Craig Foreman as we go back to the live action and see that gap opening up more as Frank van Ginneken gets overtaken at the wrong time by some hypercar traffic, and it looks like Paolo Ortu now chasing down Mohamed Colombo, who lifts off in a straight line. Mohamed Colombo knows, obviously, that he caused that collision, giving that position back. It's an act of good sportsmanship, but I'm not sure how much. Oh, penalty for Nonamaker. Is that going to be a drive-through? I would assume that's a drive-through for Eric Nonamaker, being confirmed by my broadcast director that it indeed is. Nice pick-up there, Daniel. I couldn't see it behind the behind the WEC overlay. And a yellow flag out on track as well momentarily. And I think it's Eric Nonamaker potentially retiring. Eric Nonamaker, after picking up that penalty, has he just called it a day? Not quite sure what's happened there. Indeed he has. Yeah, he's just pulled over and retired. Got to admit, not what we want to see. Not what we want to see at all. Yellow flags again out on track. And it's Paolo Ortu this time. Still ahead of Stanislav Pajot. Please say they're now not close to each other. I don't think it's anyone that's caused it here. I think it's just Paolo Ortu dropping it on his own through the exit of the corner. Very similar to, in fact, almost identical to what Mohamed Colombo did, just at a slower speed and earlier in the corner. And that gap now 5 seconds between Paolo Ortu and Stanislav Pajot. 7 minutes left in the race. I don't think, thankfully for us and for the stewards, I don't think they're going to come across each other again in this race.
No, hopefully not.
As much as it's going to give us a lot of good content to put up on social media, it is not the racing that we want to see, and I'm sure that both drivers will be reprimanded by the brilliant stewarding team we have got here at the Virtual Motorsport Series. So as we pull, we're just into the last 7 minutes of the race here. We've got another yellow flag out on track. And it seems to all be kind of kicking off in these last few minutes here. And it's Mohamed Colombo again, this time at turn 1. And as he hit those same flat spots again from earlier on, and just looped it under braking. He's on the rumble strips, indeed he has, yeah. Oh, that's huge! That is big from Mohamed Colombo. Wow. When we cut to the car after that one, I certainly didn't think it had been a collision as large as that. He almost rolled it, Daniel.
I surely wasn't expecting this.
No, neither was I, which is why I reacted in the way that I did. It looked like he just had an innocent spin. I wasn't expecting him to be. I wasn't expecting him to be perpendicular to the floor. That was crazy.
Yeah, it really was.
Massive incident for Mohamed Colombo there. He's lucky to still be driving, although I think he's probably going to have some relatively severe damage. As we're looking at Frank van Ginneken, who's managed to get back within a second of Craig Foreman. These two very closely matched on pace, and I'm sure this is going to be a drive and a battle that we continue to see. But yeah, like I say, that was huge from Mohamed Colombo. I'm really not quite sure how he's still out there and lapping, which I'm assuming he is. I guess with 5.5 minutes left to go, or 5 minutes left to go now, in fact, there's he might as well just keep going. Even with the damage, he's almost guaranteed to finish the race. And I can't expect that the damage is particularly light. Is he going to come to the pit lane and just sit and fix it up? No, he's not. He's going to continue. Absolute soldier. Anyway, watch live as we go to turn 1 again and see him do it for the second time. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. But here we go. Watching overhead of Frank van Ginneken. He's made it through turn 1, ladies and gentlemen. Frank van Ginneken still got his eyes fixated on the back of that BMW. And they've got Johan Evora behind them, who is not on the same lap as them. He's a lap down to both of these drivers. But potentially coming around to unlap himself, which would show just how much pace Johan Evora has had in this race. Because at one point, I believe he was over half a lap behind these cars, and of course then a full lap down as well. So he's caught up a lot of time to Frank van Ginneken. Yeah, as I said, coming around to unlap himself. But he was on track half a lap behind in terms of actual time to these two. And has managed to close that gap down to now being, I can't imagine, much more than kind of 5 or 6 seconds behind by the looks of things. And is there a chance maybe that this is the last fight of the race? In the dying minutes, is there going to be enough here for Frank van Ginneken to get back past Craig Foreman? I don't know if there is. As things stand, I can confirm that the championship will go to the final round. Davide Canton is not going to bring home enough points, I don't believe, to be 37 points ahead.
30 as it stands, the difference between him and Thomas is 30 points.
30 points.
Yep.
So a 7-point swing in the final round is all that Davide Canton needs. I mean, really, he just needs to finish ahead, or at least not too far behind. But it's not going to be the championship here. There was a chance, there was a way that it could have happened, but it's not going to, not tonight, for Davide Canton. He's got to wait another 2 weeks to the final round in Le Mans.
It's 8 points, right? Because the first is awarded 38, isn't it? Isn't it? I think
Oh,
38.
no, yes, you're right, it will be, because it's 37 and then 1 for finishing the race, I believe.
Oh, that could be.
So I think everyone gets the 1 additional point. I would need to check the regulations on that front, actually. You're quite right.
Yeah.
It has been a long time since I wrote those regulations on the point scoring system, so I'd need to go back and have a look at them and make sure that I'm not feeding incorrect information. But with 2 minutes of the race to go, Davide Canton is coming around to start what will likely be his final lap. And it's going to be another comfortable win for him. I tell you who it's not going to be quite as comfortable a win for as normal is Matteo Bassan. I say only 4 seconds ahead of Nicholas Ulrich. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but if you've been here watching the other races throughout this Silver Split Championship, you'll know that that is quite significantly less than some of the other races that we've had. Matteo Bassan racking up wins by 40 seconds in a couple of races, 20, 15 seconds. So to be, I say, just again 5 seconds ahead means that this has been a closer race than most. And Matteo Bassan was definitely feeling that pressure at the start from Nicholas Ulrich, but just not quite enough. It is going to be 1 more lap for the Hypercars. As it's a spin! That's Nicholas Ulrich.
Oh no, it's Ulrich, sorry.
That's Nicholas Ulrich around, and he's going to get overtaken by Andrea Previato. On the penultimate lap, Nicholas Ulrich has a spin. I think he was expecting to go round the outside of Craig Foreman, but Craig Foreman has stayed on the outside here, expecting him to go up the inside. Indeed he has. And it's just caught Nicholas Ulrich off guard, and he's had to jam on the brakes to not run into the back of the BMW. And here comes Andrea Previato, seeing the spun Toyota and saying, thank you very much, I will take that position. And Nicholas Ulrich is not going to be happy about that at all. Really, really unfortunate for the Toyota driver. Just a miscommunication in multi-class racing. It does happen all the time. We see it in real life. We see it in virtual racing. Those miscommunications can be incredibly costly. Hello, Isidore, also known as Chez. That's one of my good friends who's just come into the YouTube chat, and it is traffic paradise at turn 4 there. I think Craig Foreman again trying to let traffic through and it catching everyone off guard, including Frank Van Ginneken behind him. And I think that must be Previato, Mattia Previato and Robin Deschamps who are coming past now. Ooh, up the inside, Robin Deschamps, and it's going to be the position surely for Frank Van Ginneken. He's got the better drive out the corner. He's going to have the inside line for turns 9 and 10. And late in the race, on the final lap, Frank Van Ginneken's back through. Craig Foreman isn't going to give it up that easy. Forced to cut the inside of turn number 10. Surely picking up a big track limits penalty for that, and indeed he was. Look, he got told, it flashed up at him that that was an illegal overtake, I believe. And he gave that position back. You can see him jam on the brakes. Watch it again, up the inside, almost looked like he accelerated there, Craig Foreman. Cut the inside of the hairpin, then got ahead, and then you see him jam on the brakes there. I'm assuming he got an illegal pass notification from the game. Had to give that position back, understandably, as he was massively off track when he got the run to be able to do it. But here we go. It's going to be Davide Canton up the road. Quite a way up the road, I expect. Has he already taken the checker flag, Davide Canton? Or is he still going? No, he's still going. It's Matteo Bassan, I believe, there has taken the flag. Indeed, he has. A win for Matteo Bassan ahead of Andrea Previato, who got there into P2 on the penultimate lap due to a spin for Nicholas Ulrich. It's then Mattia Previato and Robin Deschamps rounding out the top 5. And now these two back on track next to each other again. Stanislas Pajot, thankfully, thinking better of a last lap, last corner send. As he comes round, these two to finish 6th and 7th, with Mohamed Colombo rounding out the field in 8th, I believe. But here we go, Davide Canton, the night that he could have won it all. It didn't quite come together out of turn number 13. Down this long straight towards the final corner here at the Bahrain International Circuit. And it is going to be yet another win under the belt of Davide Canton in season number 2 here in the BPTuning Contender Series Silver Split. Another dominant win, 12 seconds ahead, 13 seconds ahead of Robin de Poirot, who made a brilliant move to get ahead of the twin number 82 TF Sport Corvette of Jean-Baptiste Thomas. They round the final corner. It's just the blast home down this front stretch. The Corvette, another car that has struggled so much, but is finally back into a good performance window. And it is a double podium for the TF Sport number 82 cars of Robin de Poirot and Jean-Baptiste Thomas. Now let's have, as we get to the end of the race, a look through the race results for round number 7 of the BPtuning Contender Series Silver Split. And here we go. So taking the win in LMGT3, of course, was Davide Canton ahead of Robin de Poirot and Jean-Baptiste Thomas. In 4th was Eduardo Dorito, a lap down. So was Frank Van Ginneken and Craig Foreman. Frank Van Ginneken getting back ahead on the final lap there after a little bit of argy-bargy with the BMW driver. Johan Evora finishes 7th and 2 laps down after having to start from the pits for a reason that we do not yet know but might find out. And the 2 DNFs were Eric Nonamaker and Luciano Icciazzo in that LMGT3 field. In Hypercar, of course, who else would it have been? It was Matteo Bassan who took the win here at Bahrain, ahead of Andrea Previato, who got ahead of Nicholas Ulrich, as I said, on the penultimate lap. Sorry, a spin for Nicholas Ulrich, whilst having a little bit of a miscommunication with lapped traffic, causing him to drop down into 3rd, ahead of Mattia Previato and Robin Deschamps, who were fighting through the middle part of the race. Paolo Ortu and Stanislas Pajot finished 6th and 7th. Both of them managing to get to the end of the race, even with their relatively damaged cars, from a long stint of argy-bargy between those two. And Mohamed Colombo off the back of 2 spins, and at one point being on the side of his car in the braking zone of turn 1, comes home to finish 8th and round out the Hypercar field. So here we go into the interviews. And the first man that we have got for an interview is Craig Foreman, who had an absolutely brilliant comeback drive to get back ahead of Frank van Ginneken. But that all came undone on that final lap with all of that traffic going on into the turn 8 hairpin, Craig. And then a little bit of argy-bargy between the two of you in turn 10. And in the end, it was Frank van Ginneken who came out on top. How was that race for you?
I think he has some minor difficulties.
Yeah, just to let you know, Craig, if you're talking, we can't hear you. I don't know if your microphone is
Hear me
maybe
now. Hear me
muted.
now. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry.
there we go.
Sorry about that. Yeah, it was. Yeah, just like a couple of sort of misjudgments on my part. Hypercar near the end, I went wide thinking he was going to go inside, and he didn't, and he spun. So I apologise for that, and I've sort of said that on the chat anyway. But it's yeah, I worked hard to sort of get back, and then got undone really. But it's it happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Those kind of racing things do happen. But other than that, it must have been a really good feeling to be able to kind of drive back up to the back of Frank van Ginneken after that half spin at turn 4. The pace displayed again was really, really good for you, and an enjoyable battle with Frank van Ginneken for quite a few laps there.
Yeah, no, it was a good battle. We were, looking at the times, we were level pegging for quite a while. And then, we would sort of have a bit of an error, either way. Like time wise, we'd have a bit of a, whatever. But it was good racing. I enjoyed it. It's all about, good fair battle. And to be fair, that was a good fair battle.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is what we love to see, a good fair battle. I'm sure if you watch back the stream, you'll see that not necessarily everyone was having such a good, clean battle as you and Frank van Ginneken did. But I wish you the best of luck. Obviously, the final round, we are going to the beautiful Circuit de la Sarthe. Do you think that that's going to be a race? Oh, no, we're not. Sorry, I do apologise. We're going to Fuji, of course, a different end to the season here. Than in the Pro Series. Sorry, I must have scared you there. You've been preparing for Fuji, and yeah, my bad. I do apologise. But Fuji for the final endurance round of the season. Do you think that's going to be another strong track for you? Hopefully.
It's a track that I've done a lot of online lobby racing on, and so yeah, I feel comfortable there. Yeah, and I'll be looking forward to having a decent, strong finish to the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I wish you the best of luck for the final round of the season, and thank you very much for joining us in the interview room this evening.
Yeah, no, cheers, Solly. Thanks again to
fun.
BPtuning as well while we're there, because he's helped with the setups with me as well.
Yeah, absolutely. As always, a big shout out to BPtuning, the sponsor of the Contender Series, owned and ran by the brilliant Plat Split driver Kieran Prendergast. For any ACC or LMU setup needs, head over to bptuning.net, where you can access not only his setups, but also one-on-one coaching with the man himself. So thank you, Craig. Have a good rest of your evening, and I'm sure we'll be speaking to you come the end of the round in Fuji as well.
Yeah, I'll be here for another chat. Thanks, Ollie.
Thank you, mate. Have a good rest of your evening.
Anyway, cheers.
Well then, Daniel, that was, I've got to say, a race where we had a little bit of it all, wasn't it?
Good fighting. We got some nasty fighting, but it's part of the sport. We had all kind of I would say drama. So this race had everything, I'd say.
Yeah, it was absolutely crazy, wasn't it? But thankfully, everyone got to the end, whether it was slightly harder to get to the end or not. But everyone did manage to get to the end, apart from, of course, Eric Nunemacher and Luciano Ichazo. So from us here at the Virtual Motorsport Series, it is a very big thank you to everyone who has watched along. We will see you in 2 weeks' time for the next round of the Silver Split. However, of course, there is the next round of the Platinum Split. The SimGrid Platinum Split is on Sunday evening. So make sure... Oh, in fact, yes, that's a good point. We've just had join at the very last second for an interview, just as I'm wrapping up, is Davide Canton, but we will put a hold on the end of the stream so that we can talk to the winner in the LMGT3 class. Davide, I mean, just a pretty flawless race for you, realistically.
Yeah, sorry if I'm late.
No, don't
Uh,
you worry.
yeah, so I mean, I wasn't expecting that big gap, but after the quali, I had a bit, just to put the start together, and once I got out of T1, I just started to push and do my laps, and I went away. I mean, it was strange. I wasn't expecting this pickup at the end of the race. Anyway, it was fun. I mean, just to like practice a practice stint, just alone there racing is not that bad sometimes.
No, absolutely. The racing across the rest of the field was generally pretty good. I don't know if you were around or present for some of the major battles that were going on, but there was a lot of interesting racing, let's say. So I'm sure that you'll be happy to have avoided most of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's always fun to have some fights, but when you're racing for the championship and you're first, if you have like 10 seconds of gap, it's not that bad. You feel way safer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
You go, Daniel.
you pull off quite a dominant performance this race. Do you think you can repeat it for the Fuji endurance round in 2 weeks' time?
I don't know. I always feel nice in this track, and I mean, as you could say during the championship, I'm not consistent in every track. There is some track I like more, some track where I'm not that fast. So I need to work on the setup, especially now that we have the new update. And I need to put a lot of work in Fuji because it's not exactly my favorite track. I need to learn a lot there. But I will definitely try to be on the top again.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we wish you the best of luck for 2 weeks' time and the finale, of course, of
Thank
the
you.
BPTuning Contender Series Silver Split, and I'm sure we'll be speaking to you then. Have a good
Okay.
one, Davide. In a bit.
I hope so. Thank you. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
So there we go. I guess we'll just get straight back into the wrapping up that I was doing just before Davide joined us, and hope that no one else joins the interview waiting room whilst I'm doing that. So yes, absolutely. Thank you everyone who has come along and watched us this evening. We now look forward to the final round of the silver split at Fuji in 2 weeks' time. However, before then, we have got the next round of the platinum split, which is happening this Sunday, 6:25 p.m. Make sure to be there for that one. They are taking to the Losail International Circuit for another sprint round in the SimGrid Platinum split. So thank you very much for everyone here at the Virtual Motorsport Series for tuning in this evening, and we will see you next time.